नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। भगवद गीता 13 चैप्टर 16 नंबर वर्स। बहिरन्तश्च भूतानां अचरं चरमेव वा एव च सूक्ष्मत्वात् तद् अभिज्ञेयं दूरस्थं चान्तिके च तत्। बहिः outside, antah inside, cha also, bhutanam of all living entities, acharam not moving, charam moving, eva also, cha and, sukshmatvat on account of being subtle, tat that, abhigyayam unknowable, durastham far away, cha also, antike near, cha and, tat that. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The Supreme Truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and non-moving. Because He is subtle, He is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, He is also near to all. In Vedic literature, we understand that Narayana, the Supreme Person, is residing both outside and inside of every living entity. He is present in both the spiritual and material worlds. Although He is far, far away, He is still near to us. These are the statements of Vedic literature. Asino duram vrajati sahayano shayano yati sarvata. Kathopanishad 1:2-21. And because He is always engaged in transcendental bliss, we cannot understand how He is enjoying His full opulence. We cannot see or understand with these material senses. Therefore, in the Vedic language it is said that to understand Him, our material mind and senses cannot act. But one who has purified his mind and senses by practicing Krishna consciousness in devotional service can see Him constantly. It is confirmed in Brahma Samhita that the devotee who has developed love for the Supreme God can see Him always without cessation. And it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 11.54 that He can be seen and understood only by devotional service. Bhaktya tva ananya shakya. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manohishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness. So this is a little technical chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We know that Bhagavad Gita can be divided into three parts. Chapter 1 to 6 is mainly Karma Yoga, 7 to 12 is Bhakti Yoga, and 13 to 18 is Jnana Yoga. So more technical knowledge a little bit. So you can see 13th chapter is a little difficult, but Prabhupada has made the purport very simple. So by Srila Prabhupada's explanation, you can understand very easily. So what questions Arjuna is asking 13th chapter? So Arjuna is saying, O Krishna, what is the meaning of Kshetra? What is Prakriti Purusha? What is nature? And who is the enjoyer? And what is Kshetra and what is Kshetragya? And what is Jnana and what is Gya? So he has 6 questions. What is Prakriti? What is Purusha? What is Kshetra? What is Kshetragya? And what is knowledge and what is the known? So Krishna gives answer to various questions. He says that how this body is the Kshetra, the field, and Atma, the soul, is the knower of the field. And there is another knower of the field. There are 2 Kshetragya, soul and super soul. And so like that Krishna answers the questions. And in text number 8 to 12, you must have read that very famous Amanitvam Adambhitvam Ahimsa Kshantirarjavam Acharyopasanam Saucham Stairyam Atma Vinigraha Indriyartheshu Vairagyam Anahankara Evacha Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Doshanudarshanam Asaktir Anva Svinga Anabhisvangaha Putradara Grihadishu Nityam Cha Sama Chittatvam Ishta Nashta Papattishu Mai Chananya Yogena Bhaktir Abhyabhicharini Vivikta Desha Sevitvam Arati Jana Samshadi Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam Etat Jnanamiti Proktam Ajnanam Yat Atonyatha. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these are declared to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be ignorance. So this is a process of knowledge. So what is knowledge? That means one who actually follows all these things. That is the process of knowledge. One should be humble, prideless, non-violent, tolerant, like that. So these are the qualities of a person with knowledge. And Srila Prabhupada says the most important quality among this is Mai Chananya Yogena Bhaktir Avyavicharina. So uninterrupted, unmotivated devotional service to Krishna. That's the most important aspect of knowledge. And then from 13 words Krishna is saying about Gayam. What is knowable? What we should know? So Prabhupada says not that people these days ask question, oh, what is the price of that share? Or what is the score on that cricket match? Or what is the news? Or who became minister? So people are asking these kind of questions. How many people died of COVID? So that is okay, knowledge of this world. But the real knowledge is what? What we should know? We should know the absolute truth. That is the real knowable. That is the real Gayam. Gayam tat yattat pravakshami. So what we should know? We should know about Brahman. We should know about absolute truth. Anadi mat param brahma. So param brahma, understanding that is the real object of knowledge. To understand the absolute truth. So who is absolute truth? He is saying sarvatra pani padam tat. That means absolute truth is spread. Everywhere are his hands, legs, faces. That means what? He is a person. Who has hands and legs? Person. So Krishna is saying that absolute truth has his hands and legs everywhere. That means he is a divine person. But his body and our body are different. His body is spiritual. His hands, eyes spread everywhere. And 15th verse Krishna says that the super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. That means all the senses are coming from him, but he is without senses, means he doesn't have material senses. He has spiritual senses. He is unattached, although he is maintainer of everyone. He is a master of the modes of material nature, but he is not attached. Similarly, today's verse is saying, Bahir Antarcha Bhutanam. So of all the living entities, the supreme truth is inside and outside, both. Acharam charam evacha. Acharam means those who can't move. And charam means those who can move. Like trees, they can't move, they're achar. And charam means all the animals, men, everyone. And he is subtle, sukshma. He is very, very subtle. And with material senses we cannot see him. Avigyayam. Dura, he is very, very far. But he is also very near. So Supreme Lord is far and near. Sanskrit word is dura. He is very far. Dur, they say in Hindi, dur means very far. And nikat also. Chantike. He is very far and he is very near. So these are all you can see contradictory words. So how? He is outside, he is inside. So Srila Prabhupada says that living entity, who is there within living entity? Paramatma. So he is inside. And this body we are having, what is body made of? Earth, water, air, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. What are these? From where they are coming? Yeah, but from where this energy has come? Who is the source of earth? Krishna says me. He says Bhumir Apo Anala Vayu Kham Mano Buddhi Revacha Ahankar Etiyam Me Bhinna Prakritir Ashtara. He is saying my energy. This is not anyone else's energy. So all these material elements are also from Krishna. So that means my body is also Krishna. So Krishna is outside. This whole room is also in one sense Krishna. Everything is coming from Krishna. And inside is also Krishna. Paramatma is staying inside us. Therefore we say Bahir Narsingha, Hridaya Narsingha, Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsingha. Why? Because everywhere is Narsingha. Everywhere is absolute truth. So this is something very important. You know about Narsingdev, actually in 2-3 places it is said, like in Andhra there is a place called Ahobilam where they say Narsingdev appeared. And in Punjab also there is a place where they say, near Karachi, where they say Multan. There is a place in Multan in Pakistan where they say Narsingh. Now also there is old Narsingdev temple in Pakistan. So some people say Narsingdev came there, some people say in Andhra. So they asked Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada said, Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha, Yato Yatayami, Tato Narsingha. Narsingdev is everywhere. He is in Andhra, he is in Odisha, he is in UP, he is in Pakistan. So Narsingdev is everywhere. So, and what is another meaning? He is also in the spiritual world, he is also in the material world. And we cannot understand Krishna using our senses. Sometimes people are very proud. Show me God, if there is God. What can we see with our eyes? We can't even see the radiations in the room. Can we see with our eyes? You see, there are so many mobile we are using, the radiations. Can we see radiations? No. I cannot even see what is behind me. I cannot even see what is beyond this wall. Or Prabhupada gives the example like sun. If you see from eyes, sun will look like a small ball. But what is the size of the sun? Is 1,000 times bigger than earth. Sun is so huge, but through our eyes we see sun is very small. So using our eyes we can't even have knowledge of this material world. We need microscope to see something very small. These days they're making more and more sophisticated microscope. And the more deep they are going, they're finding the cell is more and more complicated. So we have not even understood one cell also, or one atom also. And we have not understood this entire cosmos also. So this universe also we have not understood, and we have not understood even a atom, or we have not understood even a cell. So we have not understood even this material world. What to speak of understanding spiritual world? Impossible. So using our senses we can never understand Krishna. Impossible. You understand this logic? That we can't even understand material things using our eyes or senses. What to speak of spiritual things? We can't understand. Therefore Krishna is very subtle. Like mind, we say, where is mind? Have you seen mind? No, but mind is there. But soul is subtler than mind. And super soul is even more subtle. Sukshma, Sukshma means subtle. So this is, we say, sthul sarir. We can see it, we can touch it. But mind is Sukshma. We cannot touch or feel the mind. We can experience the mind. We all know that. I have mind, you have mind. But I cannot see or feel the mind, right? I cannot touch it, or I cannot smell the mind. Because it's subtle. More subtle than mind is soul. And subtler than soul is super soul. That means using our material senses we can never see or understand super soul. Impossible. Therefore it is called Avikeyam. Then it is said Durastham. That is very, very far. That means using our senses we can never understand Krishna. No. There is a verse in Brahma Samhita, Panthastu koti satavatsara sampragamyo vayurathapi manaso munipungavanam sopi asti simni avishinta tatve govindamadi purusham tamham bhajami. Last line everyone knows. Govindamadi purusham tamham bhajami. Govindamadi purusham tamham bhajami. So this verse is that Panthastu koti satavatsara sampragamyo vayurathapi manaso munipungavanam. So the great sages, munis, they can speculate on the super soul, on the supreme truth for thousands of years, for millions of years. Panthastu koti. For millions of years they can go on speculating, meditating, and they can move at a speed faster than that of air or mind. But even at that speed they cannot catch absolute truth. Impossible. But the same absolute truth, who caught him? Huh? Yeah, but in Krishna Lila, who caught Krishna? Krishna was running and Yashoda Maiya. You see the same Krishna, you see, he is so fast, he is so far away that great yogis and rishis, they cannot capture him and they cannot find him, even if this, go at the speed of mind. But the same Krishna, Yashoda Maiya, who is fat, who is old, but she can catch Krishna. So because Krishna is far and also is very close, very near. That is the beauty. So all the absolute truth is inaccessible, he is so great, but his greatest quality is that he is captivated by his devotees. So for devotees he can become easily conquered by devotees. Tadiyeshitam bhaktir jitatam. So he is easily conquered by his devotees. For devotees he is very near. Like devotees can feel Krishna. Premanchana shurita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam sham sundaram achintya gunaswarupam govindamadi purusham tamham bhajami. So Srila Prabhupada quotes a lot from Brahma Samhita. He says that, here also it says, Brahma Samhita, it is said that a devotee who can see the Lord within the heart, Santa Sadaiva, a Santa or a devotee can always see Yam Sham Sundaram, he can see Sham Sundar always in his heart. Why? Because he has Preman Jana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. He has eyes of love of God. The translation is that his eyes is smeared with Prema Anjan. Anjan is like ointment. So those who have ointment of love in their eyes, they can see Krishna. Otherwise, nobody can see him. He's so subtle, he's so far. We can't even see this material universe, how far it is. Beyond this material universe, there are so many layers, earth, water, and so many layers, so many universes. Beyond this material universes is Brahma Jyoti. Then beyond Brahma Jyoti is Vaikuntha Loka. Then beyond Vaikuntha Loka is Golok Vrindavan. So far. We can't even imagine how far is Golok Vrindavan. But although Golok Vrindavan is so far, but Krishna can be realized by a devotee right here. A devotee can experience the presence of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says we can just go. Can we see Krishna here in this temple? Where? Just go to the deities. Srila Prabhupada says just go and have darshan. So although Krishna is so far, but Krishna is right here in the altar. After class we can all go and have darshan. That is the beauty of devotional service. In the process of bhakti, we can easily see God in His Vigraha form, or in the form of His holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Lord, a devotee can see the Lord 24 hours a day, Srila Prabhupada says. 24 hours. If he has love for Krishna. And if you don't have love for Krishna, like me, even if the Lord comes, we cannot recognize the Lord. Or even if you go to the deities, we feel, oh, it's just marble. No. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Jagannath, what he said? Pratima nayatumi sakshat Brajendra Nandan. When Mahaprabhu first saw Jagannath, he fainted. And Sarvam Bhattacharya carried him to his home. So when Mahaprabhu had darshan of Jagannath, he was not looking at some wooden statue. No. Sakshat Krishna was there. We see so many pure devotees, they can talk to Krishna in the form of Archa Vigraha. That story of Sakshi Gopal, you know that story, right? That how one Brahmana came to Vrindavan and another young Brahmana was there. The old Brahmana promised the young Brahmana that I'll give my daughter in marriage to you. But when he went back home, the old Brahmana's relatives, they refused. The young Brahmana said, oh, you promised. He said, where I promised? You promised for deities. What people said, okay, you call the deities here. If Gopalji will come here, then we'll accept. He should come for witness. He should come to give testimony. So then this young Brahmana comes to Gopal, Sakshi Gopal in Vrindavan. He was early in Vrindavan. He said, you have to come. Then he said, no, I can't come. He said, if you can speak, you can come. So then the Lord said, okay. So this is how the Lord can reciprocate directly with a devotee. He is so close, so near. Whenever a devotee remembers Krishna, he is present. Like Draupadi, whenever she remembered Krishna, just appeared immediately. So devotee is very, very close to Krishna. Although Krishna is very far for non-devotees, but for devotee, Krishna is very, very close. That is the beauty of Krishna. He is the farthest, he is the nearest also. He can become the heaviest, he can become the lightest. He is inside, he is outside. Like Kunti Mahani prayed to Krishna, Namasye Purusham Tvadyam Ishvara Prakrite Param Alaksham Sarva Bhutanam Antar Bahiravasthitam. So after Mahabharat, Kunti Devi, she prayed to Krishna. Because what happened? Ashwathama released Brahmastra to kill Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj was the only surviving person in the dynasty of Kurus. So Ashwathama, son of Dronacharya, he wanted to kill Parikshit Maharaj. So he released Brahmastra. So Uttara immediately went to Krishna, oh Krishna, Krishna, protect. And how Krishna protected? He just appeared inside. Because Krishna was already there inside. He just appeared. And he saved Parikshit Maharaj. So therefore Kunti Mahani is saying, Krishna, you are outside and you are also inside. Just how he protected Parikshit, the womb of Uttara. So Antir Bahir. So Krishna is inside and Krishna is outside. Krishna is actually everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartita. So this is what we can see here, that how this beautiful mood, that Krishna is far, far away from us, but Krishna is also very close to us. That depends on the mood of the devotee. So for devotees in the mood of Vrindavan, Krishna is very close. Devotees can wrestle with Krishna, devotees can joke with Krishna like we see in Golok Vrindavan. In Vaikuntha there is some distance, Because there is awe and reverence, feeling of opulence. So you won't see that in Vaikuntha, devotees are climbing on Narayan's shoulder. No, they'll maintain a lot of distance. They'll do pranam, dandavat pranam, and they'll offer puja and worship. So Krishna is close, but not that close. But for an atheist or for a non-devotee, for a yogi, Krishna is very, very far. So therefore it depends. Durastham chantikecha. Very beautiful verse. So Krishna is saying that absolute truth is far, far away from us, but he is also very near to us. So Prabhupada is saying by the process of bhakti, he becomes very close to us. Therefore this bhakti has been emphasized throughout Bhagavad Gita. Actually in every chapter you will see in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will glorify the process of bhakti. In 11th chapter, where he talks about universal form, there also Krishna says, 11.54, Bhaktyatva nanyasakya aham evam vidho Arjuna Gyatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So many times Krishna is repeated in Bhagavad Gita. There are so many shlokas in Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures which say that Krishna can be understood only by the process of devotional service. There is no other way. Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. Bhaktivatva ananya shakya. Then in the 18th chapter what Krishna says? Bhaktya mam abhijanati. He doesn't say Jnani mam abhijanati, Karmi mam abhijanati. No, he says Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only a devotee can understand Krishna. So like that, there are so many verses in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says only a devotee can understand me. There is no other process by which you can understand me as is. So if you want to understand Krishna as it is, the only process is devotional service, by which although the Supreme Lord, absolute truth, he is adhokshaja, he is beyond our senses. We can never understand Krishna using our senses. The same Krishna he accepts the food when devotee offers him. He becomes so close to the devotee. He can talk to the devotee. He can dance with the devotee. We see in Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, he is dancing with his devotees. He can play with his devotee. So he can become closest to his devotee. That is Krishna's most special quality. That he can become the most intimate with his devotees. Closest. Very, very close, very intimate. And especially in Vraj, that intimacy is so much that, it's beyond comparison. I just read one verse, very beautiful verse, the glories of Nanda Maharaj. There's a nice verse. Shrutim apare smitimitare bharatamanye bhajantu bhavabhita aham ihanandam vande yasya linde param brahma. So Rupa Goswami says in Padyavali, let others study the Vedas, Smriti and Mahabharata, fearing material existence, but I shall worship Nanda Maharaj, in whose courtyard is crawling the Supreme Brahman. Nanda Maharaj is so great that the Param Brahman is crawling in his yard, and therefore I shall worship him. Very nice verse. That let people study Vedas, Smriti, Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra. Let them do whatever they want, but I shall worship Nanda Maharaj. Why? Because in his courtyard, the Supreme Brahman, whom Krishna is saying he is the most subtle, he is farthest and nearest, he is eternal. So that Supreme Brahman, the cause of all causes, that Supreme Brahman is crawling. It's crawling in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. Therefore, I will worship Nanda Maharaj. So that is the greatness of a devotee, that by his devotion, Krishna completely surrenders himself onto his pure devotees. Krishna says that I am your property. Krishna, just like a devotee surrenders to Krishna, Similarly, Krishna also surrenders himself to a devotee. He feels very happy to do that. So that is his greatness. And all this is possible only by devotional service. And of course, we are doing devotional service in as a beginner now, or some of you may be advanced, but still we are practicing sadhana bhakti, and especially with rules and regulations. But as we keep on doing this, and especially if we continue chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, then gradually we can also experience that how Krishna is very close to us, and ultimately we can also participate in Krishna's pastimes. It's possible, and Krishna wants that. That is why he is giving this knowledge. That is why he has come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is giving us the process. That is why he has spoken Bhagavad Gita. That is why he sends his pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada and others to guide us and to inspire us to follow this process of bhakti and ultimately participate in Krishna's eternal pastimes, where we can also experience that intimacy with Krishna. And that's possible. As human beings, we can actually do that. So it's a very rare opportunity. We have got this rare opportunity, so we should utilize it and practice the process of devotional service, and then we can also experience that how Krishna is so close to us. Although he is the supreme truth, but still he is very, very close to us. Hare Krishna. Any comments, any questions? Yes.
As we see Krishna in everyone.
Yes.
Suppose you are suffering and I am trying to help you, seeing Krishna is in you. So I should help you or I just leave you?
You should try to help as much as you can. Oh, that is the basic thing, that whatever we can, we should always try to help others. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Here, Prabhupada in this chapter is quoting some Vedic literatures. So one devotee once he had told me, Santushti hi Faldayaka. It's a Vedic aphorism. So interesting, Santushti hi Faldayaka, because generally we are very greedy, but we have one gulab jamun satisfied like that. So if we want to have access to some Vedic literature, so what is your comment on that? Should we try to have access to more Vedic literature other than Prabhupada's book, like Prabhupada is quoting Katha or the Chandogya Upanishad?
Okay.
So if we get there and we get more knowledge to satisfy our hankering, sometimes it's very beneficial also.
See, whatever is needed from other scriptures, so Goswamis have already given in their books. Nana Shastra Vicharanika Nipuno Sadharma Sansthapaku Lokanamita Karinu Trivane Manya Sharanyakaru Radha Krishna Padarvinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugo Sri Jiva Gopaliko. So they have studied all the scriptures and they have already presented the essence to us. So we don't have to do that exercise. On Srimad Bhagavatam also it is said that the questions that the sages of Naimisharanya ask, that please tell us the essence of all scriptures, because if we in Kali Yuga, our age is so less, our intelligence is so less, you try to understand one Upanishad, we can't. So our intelligence is so less, our age is so less. So therefore, Vyasadeva presented the entire Vedic literature in Srimad Bhagavatam. So the author himself, the same author who wrote all the books, now he is telling just read this. Don't have to read anything else. Then why you have to read anything else? So Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's more than enough. We don't need anything else. And maybe nectar of devotion. So whatever Srila Prabhupada has given us, and where is time? I mean, we can read this 10 times, even once or twice if we read, we can't understand. There are devotees who have read Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita 10 times, 20 times. So I think in one lifetime, even if we read 10 times, that's more than enough. We can't read more than that. Even if you read Bhagavatam every day for 3 hours, I think it will take 1 year or 2 years to complete the entire Bhagavatam. or entire Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we can read it again and again. So as far as my understanding is concerned, we don't have to go to any other book. Whatever information from other scriptures are necessary, Srila Prabhupada has already quoted in the purports. So I don't think we have to read any other Vedic literature. Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is more than enough for all of us. Yes, sir.
It is mentioned that Gita is divided into three parts.
Yes.
Karma Yoga, then Bhakti Yoga, and then
Jnana Yoga, correct.
See, usually why Krishna taught Jnana after the Bhakti? Is there a reason why he did Karma, Jnana, then
Yeah, it's a good question. Actually, karma is also bhakti, but there's some mixture of karma there. So in 13 to 18 also Krishna talks of bhakti, but little mix of jnana. So, but middle 6 chapters is pure bhakti. It is said that if you have a valuable jewel, you have a surface below and you have a surface on the top, like a box. Outer covering, inner covering, and you put the jewel inside, in the center. So 7 to 12 is like the most precious part of Bhagavad Gita. So therefore you have an inner covering and you have a outer covering. And second reason is because Bhagavad Gita is meant to attract everyone. So not everyone will appreciate Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. Are ye kya, what is it? Just simply offer leaf or flower. Many people who want some intellectual, so for them 13 chapter is interesting. Oh Kshetra, Kshetragya, absolute truth is Dura, Anta, like that. So they feel happy to read all these analytical shlokas. What are the 3 modes, Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamogun, how they are acting. That is in 14th chapter. 15th chapter, this Urdhva Moolam, Adha Shakam, how this whole material world is there. So all these things, the Gyanis, people like this. So those who directly can't come to bhakti, so at least they will read this, and gradually then Krishna says, Vedasya Sarvair Ahame Vivedya. That I am the source of all Vedas. I mean, by all the Vedas I am to be known. So they will also practice bhakti. So 18th chapter also Krishna concludes, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Manmanava Mad Bhakto. So ultimate aim of Bhagavad Gita is only one, to engage everybody in pure devotional service. But not everybody can start from day one. So therefore, okay, Karma Yoga. But Karma Yoga means what? Krishna is there, but still you are attached to your duty. So it's Karma Yoga. Jnana Yoga means Krishna is there, but still you are attached to this analytical study. So you are not pure devotee as so. Yoga ladder. So therefore start with Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, then Bhakti Yoga. So Prabhupada says if you want to go to 10-story building, you can either go staircase step by step, or you can take a elevator and go immediately. So we can all take elevator and directly start with Bhakti Yoga. So no need to go step by step. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, no. We can directly go to Bhakti Yoga. This is a special benediction by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that anybody in this Kali Yuga, although we are so fallen, but we can directly practice the process of Bhakti, which is the highest and also the simplest.
there is no specific reason for mentioning Jnana Yoga later?
This is what I have heard, that 2 reasons, as I said, that Bhakti is precious, so it's in between. And second is because Bhagavad Gita is meant for people in general, so that they can accept Bhakti. So therefore different topics I mentioned. If Krishna only mentions Bhakti, then probably those who are attached to Gyan, they will not come. Or those who are attached to Karma, they will not come.
Could be before Bhakti is
Okay, because before Bhakti, he already mentioned about Karma. See, again, it's speakers. So the way he says, that's Krishna's way of speaking. So he spoke Karma Yoga first, Bhakti Yoga, and then Jnana Yoga. And then concluded again with Bhakti Yoga. Actually, every chapter Krishna speaks about Bhakti Yoga. And so every chapter Krishna talks about Bhakti Yoga only. But first 6 chapters, some mixture of Karma, 13 to 18, some mixture of Jnana. But 7 to 12 is pure Bhakti. Okay? Hare Krishna.